that Justice Baguma Emmanuel, who is the presiding judge in the case of Dr. Besigye and Obed, ought to recuse himself. In Uganda, we are witnessing a breaking point. The People's Front for Freedom is conscious about the fact that we are at a defining moment of political transition in our country, and at equally a defining segment of a 25-year protracted intention to take our leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye, 6 feet underground. The judicial processes we are currently witnessing in a matter of Dr. Besigye, Elias Lukwago and Obed Lutale is engineered to rally Ugandans against Dr. Besigye, to legitimize a predetermined death sentence, and the conduct of Justice Baguma is testimony to this. The ulterior motive of all this political melodrama is to pave way for the family political succession to take place while the legitimate opposition figures and opponents are either dead, imprisoned, or in exile. However, the most unfortunate thing is the use of our courts to implement a family political overstay strategy while oppressing Ugandans. The time is now for Justice Flavian Besigye, the Chief Justice, to step in and save the face of the judiciary and to put his house to order before the people of Uganda lose confidence in the entire judiciary, something that may result in anarchy where the people would resort to other methods of demanding justice other than the judicial processes. The People's Front for Freedom, accordingly, demands the immediate recusal of Justice Baguma from the trial of Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale. Every day he remains on this case, the public confidence in the judiciary dies little by little. This is not personal. This is about law, dignity, and survival. The grounds for our demand for recusal for Justice Baguma are clear and urgent. Number one is about bias and a biased and becoming judge. Article 28 guarantees a fair and impartial hearing. Justice Baguma has failed that test. He has acted as both the judge, the complainant in the Besigye case. On the very day Dr. Besigye collapsed in court, Justice Baguma sounded personal. He sounded so personal to Dr. Besigye. He shouted at him. You would remember how he has been blasting Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago in open court, ordering him to sit down, the way our teachers used to instruct us while we were in primary schools of the villages where we were brought up from. A courtroom is not a parade ground, and the intimidation has no place on the bench. Secondly, is the repeated denial of bail contrary to the law. Dr. Besigye has been denied bail 4 times, including cases where Article 23(6)(b made bail mandatory. The relentless denial without cogent reasons erodes the presumption of innocence and amounts to pre-trial punishment. Number 3, abuse of process and violation of the right to counsel. Defense counsel have been intimidated for representing their client. Worse, Justice Baguma unilaterally appointed court brief lawyers before the accused had even seen the list of the lawyers. That was done without instruction, without consent, and in direct violation of Article 28(3)(d), the right to a lawyer of one's choice. 4, the failure of judicial duty during a medical emergency. Members of the Fourth Estate, you'll recall when Dr. Besigye collapsed in open court under Justice Baguma's watch, proceedings were not halted. In fact, he continued to demand that he be held so that he can be in court. When he collapsed, Justice Baguma was not concerned to ensure that immediate medical attention is availed to a person before him. There were 3 qualified medical doctors, actually specialists, including Dr. Olive Besigye, who happens to be a sister of Dr. Besigye, Dr. Kamara Nicholas, here with me, specialist physician, and myself, Dr. Ruru. Justice Baguma could not have the remorse to invite us to render the first aid that Dr. Besigye badly needed. Since then, court has made no inquiry in Dr. Besigye's health, yet pushes to proceed with the trial. This breaches the state's duty to protect life and health under Article 22 and 24, and the court's duty to care the person in its custody. How I wish Justice Baguma had the guts to go to Mulago to see Dr. Besigye while he was on support systems, life support systems. But he was remorseless. Treats Besigye as his own enemy, as if he has personal vendetta against him. How I wish you would go to the locus and see Dr. Besigye wherever he is, in Iruzira, in a cell where he's getting treatment from. It would show that he cares. That even Dr. Besigye is not necessarily his enemy, but rather a person who is on trial before him. It would have done harm to him. But this man shows that Besigye is not only on trial before him, seeking justice, but he tries him as if he's trying his very enemy. Number 5, judicial misconduct. Taken together, these actions violate the code of judicial conduct. A judge must be dignified, impartial, and humane. Shouting at the accused, silencing counsel, and ignoring a medical emergency falls far short, far below that standard. Our call for medical bail now. A man's life cannot be sacrificed for court procedure. Dr. Besigye must be granted bail on urgent medical grounds without any further delay. He must be allowed to be evaluated abroad by his own family doctors, and that he can receive adequate medical attention and proper care. The state's failure to act after his collapse in court has already put his life at risk, and I will come back to this. Therefore, Justice Baguma's final act before his recusal must be to grant Dr. Besigye medical bail. That is the bare minimum decency requires. Let him walk out of that courtroom alive, and let his family take responsibility of his treatment. Then he can come back and face the law when he's alive. Members of the Fourth Estate, we are medical doctors, and we know what it means to have an attack called syncope. It means that blood supply to the brain has transiently stopped, or there is impaired supply to the brain. But that is a transient, you can have a transient loss of consciousness. In other words, it can be for a short time. It can only be for a short time. In other conditions, such as the seizure, which we call fits, in Uganda we call it ensimbu. That one different. It is something somebody catches or can be born with it, and it can be lifelong. Somebody is on lifelong treatment. And if at all somebody had fits or ensimbu, that is also something else that can easily be diagnosed. Somebody goes into it, gets a seizure, and goes out of the seizure and comes back to normal. That's also different. It's also different when somebody gets a stroke. Somebody may lose consciousness, and we know what stroke is about. But for somebody to have a syncope, which takes all this long without recovery, is something that we need to interrogate as medical officers. We need to interrogate it. What is this that makes somebody collapse? Not only collapse for a short time, but goes into deep coma. Is ignored for a very long time before any medical attention is brought to him. Taken to Mbuya, from Mbuya to Luzira, then from Luzira to Mulago, a space of 8 hours without the medical attention that is required. We had kept quiet for some time, but this is something that we should interrogate. We want to ask the state, who was taking the decisions between High Court and Mbuya? Who was taking those decisions, those medical decisions from Mbuya to Luzira? And who took that decision that he should come out of Luzira to Mulago National Referral Hospital? And who is that one taking the decision that he should be referred from the National Referral Hospital to a medical facility in Luzira? Who is that super specialist taking this decision? Ugandans should start to interrogate for that accountability. Maybe we should be in position to understand any intervention that was done between his collapse And by the time he was taken to Mulago, 8 hours away, because it was from midday to around 8 p.m. What were those medical interventions that were done between those hours? We need an explanation of how a syncope can result into a prolonged coma. And we have not got those answers as yet. We have the following demands. And the integrity of the judiciary, PFF demands the following. Number 1, Justice Baguma must recuse himself, and when he comes to court tomorrow, it is the only way to save his own face and the face of the judiciary. We have been hearing in the background that Justice Baguma and the state functionaries would want to leave Dr. Besigye in a semi-coma condition where he is now, so that they can proceed with the case without him. And that he's telling the state attorneys to make an application before him that the case proceeds even when Dr. Besigye, his cognitive functions have not been re-established. These would be robots, people who have no feeling, who have no remorse. This is a case in which Justice Baguma would like to take Dr. Besigye to Kalaba and the Obedi, but he would be willing to proceed with the trial even when Dr. Besigye's cognitive functions have not been re-established. Number 2, Dr. Besigye must be granted immediate medical bail to seek evaluation and treatment abroad by his family and the super specialists in Geneva. And his wife, who works in those auspicious spaces, is willing to undertake that charge without the state aiding financially. We want Dr. Besigye to be alive again. Number 3, the case must be reassigned immediately to another High Court judge, preferably not a cadre judge. Number 4, the Judicial Service Commission must open investigations into the conduct described above. Let us be clear. A sick accused, a silenced defense, and a judge who shouts instead of listening cannot deliver justice. Justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. And right now, Ugandans cannot say it. Thank you very much for hearing us. And petition for Dr. Besigye and all political prisoners. We rally all the Ugandans of goodwill and all those Ugandans who care about the justice for Dr. Chiza Besigye and all other political prisoners, that on Fridays the Muslims will participate in praying for the political prisoners. On Saturday, the Adventists should also participate in praying for political prisoners. And Sundays, the Christians, excluding the Adventists, the Catholics, Protestants, Pentecostals, and the other denominations, we also take part in this prayer. This prayer will take several forms, but the prayer we want to rally Ugandans to say
will be protect Dr. Chiza Besigye and protect all political prisoners. I don't know. Let us have the sample. What we shall do, if you are willing and you are Ugandan of goodwill, you are going to hold this prayer in church. And before any prayers, you will put it at the altar or any area which is separate, so that the prayers can be said for our political prisoners. You can see there is also another format. Almighty God, restore Dr. Besigye. Amen.
Solidarity Day. Apart from praying on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays in our prayer places, we are announcing a Solidarity Day where we call all Ugandans to stand in solidarity with all political prisoners. I now want to inform Ugandans we have designed the t-shirt which is in Ugandan colors. But if you don't have a t-shirt, you can still dress in Ugandan colors. That is a Uganda flag every Wednesday of the week. You don't need to do much, just put on Ugandan colors. You don't need to have all the three. You can have two, like I'm dressing. You can even have one. Then you go to your workplace. But prayer is a must. So I can call upon the three members here, Lydia, Hassan, and Honorable Muisha. You can, so any Ugandan can dress in that t-shirt. If you like yellow, no problem, especially the NRMs. We have seen many NRMs who have joined the campaign to call for the freedom of political prisoners. If you want to put on black, no problem. If you want to put on red, no problem. And if you want to dress it plain, like I'm dressed, you are welcome. Every Wednesday. You don't need to fight with a t-shirt and put the photo of any prisoner you want. So long as you join the campaign to rescue and free this country. So maybe I can remind you, in Uganda, olwaleero tulonchize campaign era tusaba bana Uganda batwegatteko kubanga olwaleero yenze, olwaleero Dr. Besigye, olwaleero Nalembolukwagwo, naye tomorrow it can be you. Today is Chivumbi, tomorrow it can be you. We request you to join the campaign. Olwokusatu olwa buli wiki, buli lwakusatu olwa wiki, tubasaba bana Uganda mutwegatteko. Abamu mubadde mutubuuza katukole ki, mutugambe ekyokukola ki kino tukireese. Tujja kutandikira awo ge tukimala nga tugenda ku level ki endala. Tukusaba oyambale erangi eza Uganda. Tuyina t-shirt eno gye tutongozza olwaleero nga eri mu kala, ziri mu kala ya Uganda oba flaga ya Uganda. Tusaba bana Uganda abanaasobola okututeekamu ssente oba okuteeka ssente mu campaign eno, kola t-shirt oweereze omuntu yenna akuli kumpi asobola okujambala. Tulabye aba NRM abangi abatwegasseko mu campaign ey'okununula abasibe abatalina misango. Osobola kukola t-shirt eya yero oba osobola kwambala lugoye lwo olwa yero n'ogenda mu office buli lwakusatu, ojja kuba otwegasseko. Tusaba anaasobola kufuna ssente n'ajja wano ku kitebe n'atuleetera t-shirt eya yero oba eya red oba eya black, tujja kumwaniriza ffe tukole printing. Era n'obwozireta nga ziri printed still tujja kukwaniriza. bw'oba nga tosobodde t-shirt oba nga tena kutuukako tonaba kugifuna osobola kwambala nga bwenyambadde kasita oyambala mu black oba red oba yellow n'ogenda ku mirimu gyo osobola n'okufuna nga kano kyeyamaani waffe akayina ka flag n'ogenda nako ku mulimu tera agenda okukuba tiyagas naye ffe tujja kusanyuka era ensonga yaffe ejja kuba egenda mu maaso mu nkola bwetyo tubasaba mutwegatteko era tetujja kukondooka tujja kutandikira ku ekyo nga tugenda tuyita ki tubayita nga tubategeeza ebirala okusaba kwe tugenda okutwala petitioni zaffe oba bye twagala Mukama Katonda ayanukule byogenda okutwala mu church mu kanisa mu kereziya mu muzigiti n'awalala olw'okusatu tusaba obigatteko ng'osabira wooli osobola kusabira ku stage ya bodaboda osobola kugenda wansi w'omuti osobola kugenda mu ofiisi osobola sitiiro olw'okusatu okugenda mu church n'okwemba nga temuliyo bantu naye kampeyini eno nga tugitambuza mu maaso baliidazi baffe ab'omu district abantu mwenna bannayuganda tubasaba mutambuze